Good evening, everyone. And I am so happy and excited for our community event tonight. So, una batiin muna natin lahat ng ating mga viewers who are online. So, if you're watching from Facebook or YouTube Live, thank you for clicking and watching. And tonight, ang topic natin is COVID. Paano nga ba maiiwasan? Okay, so we have two wonderful speakers tonight. One is an amazing wedding planner and another one is a doctor. Actually, she's a surgeon. So, sa lahat ng nanonood via Facebook Live or YouTube Live, I want to invite you to join us inside the platform. So, even though napapanood nyo siya live dyan, nakikita nyo kung ano yung pinag-usapan namin dito, but if you join inside the platform, okay, if you join inside the platform, then you can be part of our exciting games. And of course, may mga prizes tayo dito sa ating community event. Okay? So again, two options. You can watch it live via Facebook or YouTube. But if you want to win some prizes, and I know the brides and grooms there, they say yes, they want to win some prizes. Okay, please just message the Facebook page of Worldwide Weddings PH. Message nyo lang po, sabihin nyo po na I'd like to join in the platform. So if you want to join in the platform, the Worldwide Weddings team is waiting for you. Then they will message you a link so that you can enter. Okay, you can enter. And once you're inside, don't worry because you don't have to turn on your camera if you're shy type. Ayun yung mga Pilipino yung napaka-shy type. You can just have your audio, okay? Like kanina, di ba nakita nyo ako, nagsasalita ako, pero wala akong camera, so you can do that. Or if you're feeling, confident, then why not? We'd love to meet you, okay? The reason why we want you to join in the platform is because this is actually the same platform that we will use for the virtual wedding expo that will be happening July 30, 31, and August 1. And we want everyone to have a good feel already on what's in store for you during the actual virtual wedding expo, where you can interact with the different suppliers, check out their profiles, etc., right inside the platform. Okay, so I'm excited already. Thank you for everyone who's watching. Ulitin ko ulit ha, if you're watching on live, Facebook or YouTube, hindi po kayo makakasali sa games. Pwede kayo mag-comment pero hindi po kayo masasama sa pwedeng manalo. Alright, so now I want to greet our soon-to-weds. Okay, so we have Miss Melissa, Miss Sherilyn, we have Jelani. Hi, Jelai, shout out. Of course, we have Chloe, the better half. And we also have Miss Abigail Beliran. Thank you for joining us today. And hatakin nyo pa yung iba yung mga friends. Okay, so this is gonna be an exciting evening. So I wanna start off with introducing our very first speaker for tonight. Okay, she is a beautiful, yes, beautiful. She's a beautiful and she's a beautiful event planner and host as well. Ayan, so nag-host din siya ng mga weddings. And tonight, marami siyang i-share sa atin na very enlightening, especially because she is our wedding expert all the way from Baguio City. So anyone here who is planning to get married in Baguio, comment down below. Sagot po kayo ng Baguio. Okay. Baka nag-iisip pa kayo ng destination wedding yon, kasama yung Baguio sa consideration. So, ayan, pwede natin tanungin si Miss Jamie. Alright, for everyone who are inside the platform, just to test lang if you can see, we'd like for you to, two ways to interact. One is comment down below. So if you could comment down below, let's comment. Comment natin. Comment bride-worthy. Okay, comment bride-worthy in the conversations in the chat box so that we know that you're there. Just type bride-worthy in the chat box. Yes, bride-worthy. Yes. Okay. By the way, bride-worthy is one of our official wedding website partner. And so sa lahat ng mga nagpaplanong kasal at wala pang venue, marami pang hinahanap. Pag pumunta kayo sa bride-worthy, sobrang sobrang helpful niya. It's really bride-worthy. Marami kayong makikita doon na very helpful. Okay, very good. The others, please comment bride-worthy so that we know that your internet is working. And another way to interact with our speakers is the emoji. So, nakita niyo po ba yung emoji na buttons right below my face? Ayan. So, pwede po kayo maglagay ng heart, pwede po kayo maglagay ng clap, thumbs up, ayan. O di naman kayo, smiley face, ayan. Kahit ano po, pwede nyo ilagay yan para alam ng mga speakers natin that you are reacting to them as well. Okay, so now that we know how to interact, paano naman yung mga FB Live and YouTube? Okay, don't worry sa mga FB Live and YouTube. Kung sakaling may mga comment kayo doon, meron din kaming mga VAs or virtual assistants na nakaabang sa mga comment nyo para ma-communicate din sa amin na nandito sa loob ng platform. Alright? Para naman, pwede pa rin naming mabasa ang mga comments nyo. Okay, eto na po. Let's go. Let's have our first speaker, no other than Miss Jamie Lynn Yaneza.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Good evening, Miss Janae.
Good evening. You're so pretty talaga. And I love your jacket. Is that like a customized coat?
This is a blazer from a very good friend of mine.
Wow. And as in designer siya, ganon?
Actually not. So
No,
this is a birthday gift. So,
Oo, ang ganda. No, that's even a good idea, no? Pwede yung parang blazer na may borda-borda. Okay, so Miss Jamie, I know na marami kang gustong i-share sa lahat ng ating mga viewers, okay, mga soon-to-weds natin. So, nakita mo naman sa right side yung ating mga soon-to-weds on the right side. Yan. So, you can address them. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, so yung ating solo groom na nasa platform natin ngayon. If you have questions, okay, don't be shy. Ready nyo yung mga questions nyo because at the end of our session, we will have a roundtable discussion na pwede nyong makausap si Miss Jamie with the other participants to have Q&A. Okay, so Miss Jamie, go ahead. I will give you the stage. Take it away. We're excited to learn from you tonight.
All right. Thank you, Miss Janae. Ayan. Good evening po ulit sa ating lahat all the way from Baguio City. Hindi naman masyadong malamig dito ngayon. It's slight, nararamdaman din namin ng summer. But at the same time, yeah, of course, it's still cold. What I'm going to share with you today is, of course, more on our safety protocols and how we can stay safe and keep safe during our events. So generally, I would speak based on my experience, and of course, the weddings that I handle are here in Baguio City. So far, during the pandemic, hindi pa ako lumalabas, honestly, outside holding. We did do that before the pandemic, but during this pandemic, we hold most of our weddings and cater to our clients who wish to have their weddings in Baguio City. And generally, I think we are all familiar, hindi man tayo lahat familiar, but if we do check the protocols from IATF, meron tayong protocols in terms of, number one, I would give a general idea first. Number one would be on venue capacity. So, first off, if you have decided to proceed with your wedding during this pandemic, of course, we have to accept that we have to trim down our guests, right? And there are two sides to the story. Number one, as a couple, naiintindihan ko yung challenge that you have to trim down because there are so many important people in your lives whom you want to take part in this special celebration. But the reality is you have to trim down your guests definitely because of venue capacity. Right? Now, on the side of the guests, ang always reminder ko naman, if you are a friend, a relative of the couple, it's always a good reminder for us na hirap din po ang ating couple to trim down their guests. So kung hindi po tayo na isama, for example, they had to trim down to only 50 guests. Sana po, let's be supportive and na hindi sumama yung loob natin na, oh my gosh, hindi ako ganun kahalaga. I did not make the cut. Yung parang ganun na pakiramdam. Actually, hirap na hirap po yung couples natin. I'm sure sumakit yung ulo nila and yung loob nila that they couldn't invite everyone. So let's remember that we have venue capacity protocols. For example, for areas with MGCQ, we have until 35% capacity only of the venue. For GCQ, 50% capacity only tayo. So with that, ang venue na napili ng couple, for example, they have already booked in that venue and the maximum capacity of that venue is 150. They really have to trim that down to 75. Right? Hindi naman siguro practical na nakapag-down payment na sila. They are able to book to that venue, in that venue already. Tapos, just to fit the 100 plus packs, maghanap sila ng new venue that has a very large capacity para ang maging 50% nun would be yung maraming guests pa rin, right? Because the bottom line here is we are trying to minimize the number of guests because we're trying to stay safe, right? Especially there are instances, actually dumating din tayo sa point when it was very strict. I heard that there are some areas na ang talagang inaallow lang nila is immediate family, somewhere around 10 to 15 people. Right? So the fact na medyo na-allow tayo with the 35%, 50% is actually still a blessing kasi medyo makaka-invite pa tayo ng close friends and family. Right? There are instances where children and seniors are not allowed. Right? Especially sa high-risk areas natin. Now, always the question of my clients would be, paano yan? Ang mga flower girl, ring bearer, etc., they are children, right? Or our parents, yung parents ng ikakasal mismo, are actually seniors. Paano yan? We want them to attend our event, which is normal. So, what would be the recommendation to us? We usually ask this question to the reception venue. Right? Of course, they would allow it because it is a special consideration. Parents nyo yan eh, di ba? Or anak nyo yan eh, pamangkin nyo yan who is part of the entourage. But bottom line is they have to have minimal exposure. Okay, so how do we settle on that idea of minimal exposure? So let's start with church protocols. There are some churches, to minimize movement, they do not allow procession ng entourage. Okay? Nakakalungkot, no? Because sometimes, of course, we look forward to that. Ang ganda niyan sa pictures. And syempre, they dressed up for the occasion. But really, based on experience, lalo na sometime last year, there were some of the weddings here in Baguio where the only ones who were allowed to walk down the aisle were the bride and the groom. Okay? However, recently naman, the churches have already allowed this, but still with the face masks, okay? Face shields, hindi naman na nila masyadong ni-require during the procession, okay? And the only ones whom they allowed not to wear masks would be the bride and groom. Okay? Of course, moment nila yan. And of course, we are all wearing face shields and face masks naman during that time. So sila naman siguro would be safe walking down the aisle without a face mask. However, pagdating nila sa dulo, still, because they will be staying, we will all be staying within the venue for, let's say, roughly an hour or an hour and a half, face mask pa rin. Okay, so that is still a requirement. And of course, there is still social distancing inside the church. There would be lesser people allowed for each pew. Okay? In some of our churches here in Baguio, meron talagang halaman in between each person. So, person, halaman, ganyan. If not, of course, because we can't have so much plants inside the church, there's an X mark in between each person. So parang in each pew, ang nakita ko lang would be 3 or 4 people per line. And then the next pew is vacant and then yung next na lang yung pwedeng i-occupy. So ganun po talaga, we have to maintain that social distancing inside the church. So that's mostly what I have noticed and I have experienced in the previous weddings that we have held during the pandemic. So thankfully, we are able now to allow the procession of the entourage and a few people inside the church. There was a point where when we were really at a high level of restriction, talagang immediate family lang ang nasa loob at mag-aantay na lang sa reception ng iba. Okay, so these are the things that we have to adjust to during these times. So, of course, bottom line yan is we're minimizing movement and we are maintaining social distancing. Okay. Now, for the reception naman, okay? For the reception, konting backtrack lang ako, no? Before the reception and the church, we still have that preparation part, right? And for those who got ready with the robes of their bridesmaids or yung mga matching socks ng mga groomsmen, etc., um, to minimize movement, we're also somehow restricting itong mga prep shoot na tinatawag natin, right? Because the more you have those mga prep shoot, the more you are exposed to each other. And not because kamag-anak natin sila, we are already, or friends, close friends, we're already certain that they don't have a virus. Remember, everyone is susceptible to the virus, right? And so we have to be very mindful of that. Maybe if that is still an option and you really, really want that to happen, make sure it's done quickly and with a few people inside the room. And once you're done, you have to just put on your masks ulit and just go to your certain areas if you really want to proceed with that prep shoot. Now, going back to the reception protocols, of course, the first thing that we have adjusted to is to send the guest list in advance. So, sanay naman tayo dyan that we all really list down our guests, right? Especially now that we have lesser guests that are allowed, it's somehow easier to come up with a list of guests, right? So with that, isabay na natin yung contact tracing details doon. So your guest, their address, and their contact number. So it is actually more organized in that matter. And since na-submit na siya in advance, in our case, we submit it in advance to the hotel where we're going to have that reception. Now, not because wala nang registration na magaganap. Of course, for us to have yung ating contact tracing, this is just for a list of guests and the venue is informed, we are informed sa coordination side and the couple is informed na ito talaga yung mga dumating. And upon arrival to the reception area, of course, we still have the registration. Usual na sa atin ngayon yung QR registration, right? In which, as much as possible, hindi na tayo yung pipirma pa dun sa registration area. But of course, we acknowledge that hindi naman tayo lahat techie, hindi lahat ng bisita natin merong QR scanner, right? So, again, we encourage our guests to bring their own pens. Just like when we visit different venues, go to the malls, di ba, we bring our own pens if we need to sign yung contact tracing sheet na yan. So it is the same thing when we are registering for attending the reception portion na. Pero as much as possible, we try to make it contactless, right? So kung hindi na kailangan yung guest ang magpipirma, if there is a registration area, just say your name and then yung registration team na lang ang mag-check off ng name. So this is actually a better way to do it. For some, sa invitation pa lang may seat number na. Right? So that hindi na masyadong kailangang maraming interaction with the registration. They just say their names, they already know that they arrived, and then proceed immediately to the seat that is assigned to them. What are the other differences ngayon sa reception? Buffet. I think it depends on the hotel itself. Dumating tayo sa point that the buffet is not allowed because of course, what are the factors that affect bakit hindi pwede ang buffet? Number one, yung maraming tao ang hahawak doon sa serving spoon ng dishes that are served, right? And with that, you already know how it goes. More contact with things that are being touched, the more susceptible people are with getting the virus, right? Or the virus being spread. So what was the solution na nangyari dyan? Number one, plated meals. So instead of tatayo pa yung guests to proceed to the buffet area, plated meals na lang. It will be served on table and it will minimize movement. Pero syempre, Pilipino tayo, we love eating. And parang mas masaya kasi kung parang you can go back and you can actually choose what you want to eat. Yung mga ganon, di ba? So, what was the solution of the hotels there is to have people serving. So sila at sila lang ang hahawak dun sa serving spoon, right? And like what we usually do, we regulate the lineup for the buffet. So we do the take a photo with the couple first before you proceed to the buffet area. Number one, that's more organized. Number two, it's going to lessen na nagkukumpol ang mga tao to in the buffet area. So yun ang nakita nating solution for that. And we do know that sometimes meron tayong in-betweens, right? We have the in between the ceremony and reception, meron tayong pika-pika portion for some. And nagkaroon din tayo ng adjustment for that. We have the grazing table or we have the pika-pika station, the whatever you want to call that area na there are a little bit of refreshments before you actually proceed to the reception. We also came up with grazing boxes para individually packed na siya na snacks, refreshments that could actually be given to each guest. In that way, ganun din, we minimize the contact and at the same time, mas madali din yung distribution, right? Ano bang nakita kong disadvantage dito? I would say the disadvantage would be more trash. Diba? Kasi syempre, you have to pack it individually in boxes. So, if you are big on recycling, it would be advisable, diba? Iuwi mo yan and probably find a way to dispose of that box in a better way na marirecycle mo pa siya. Kasi nga, definitely, that's one of the things that we've seen effect ng pandemic, right? We have a lot of things to dispose, mga disposable mask, face shield, etc. So, dumagdag pa itong mga grazing box natin. Which, well, thankfully, box naman siya. They are biodegradable. And next one, keep masks on. And we all know this, ang hirap, diba, to keep masks and face shields on because, well, maliban sa mainit siya, maraming factors in which we want to just speak freely, hindi tayo naiintindihan, right? My staff say, yun yung challenge nila in the registration area, right? Like when the guest says the name, means noon kasi we can lip read at mas na-aid yung pag-intindi natin sa sinasabi ng guest when they speak and you see the lips moving. Ngayon naka-mask, so may challenge talaga na meron tayong, I'm sorry, kailangang ulitin yan. And that is why yung pag-wear ng mask, although it's not something really comfortable, it's something very important. Remember, marami po tayong instances where the spread of the virus comes from gatherings where you eat together. Kasi syempre, as you eat together, you are exposed to each other. And that is why may adjustments din tayo in table seating, right? We now minimize on the long table, kung marami man sila is hindi magkakatapat po ang ating mga VIP, right? And parents, they are here and then the other one is parang windows siya. For our guests, we have a maximum of 5 to 6 people for each round table. To maintain, yung dati nating tables that's good for 10, ngayon 5 to 6 na lang. So, ganun nga, kinalahati din natin yung capacity of these tables. Diba? Now, what are the challenges dito sa ating mask? Of course, we use a mask and then after eating, it is understandable na parang ayaw mo nang isoli yung mask mo kasi parang amoy ulam na eh. Diba? This is the reality. However, we need to, right? Kasi after eating, we still have to proceed with the rest of the program. And that means we're still exposed, we're still with other people, and we still have to go back to that safety protocol, which is wearing a mask. So sometimes some of our couples, they provide another mask na pamalit ng ating mga guests, or you as a guest, maybe you would want to bring another mask, a backup mask, for parang medyo fresh naman siya after eating. And of course, we provide candies para medyo fresh tayo kahit na kumain tayo and we have to put back our masks. I think these are ways that we can adjust to, well, the safety protocols that we still have to follow while we are enjoying the celebration. Mhm. What else? For the program naman. Sa program, well, we try to shorten the program. I also do hosting and syempre minsan napapasarap ang program, right? Especially kung meron tayong sharing of inspiring messages, meron tayong mga instances na may mga games tayo. Even our games, hindi naman bawal mag-games, hindi naman bawal magsaya. It's just that we have to think of games that do not have or have minimal physical contact. Okay? And alam ko na marami tayong games for the singles or even for the couples that sometimes involve na paggrupo yan na nagkukumpul yan, which now we have to find ways to be more creative and having games na hindi masyadong dikit-dikit yung mga tao but it's still fun. And I think that's a good thing because na-challenge tayo. Na-challenge ang mga host, na-challenge ang mga coordinator, na-challenge yung mga couples on finding interesting activities that their guests can still do while maintaining social distance. Okay. And kaya naman, these days, open areas are more preferred. Well, in Baguio, we don't have much of a problem with open areas kasi kapag ka nag-garden tayo, okay lang kasi it's fresh, malamig yung hangin. So pag naka-open area tayo, wala kami masyadong problema except for weather. Unpredictable din po ang ulan dito sa Baguio, especially during the summertime. Just a while ago, sobrang lakas ng ulan. Katitigil-tigil na lang an hour ago. So, yun po yung challenge. You want to see in an open area because somehow nag-circulate yung air, right? But at the same time, kalaban natin ang weather. So, I could just imagine our couples or fellow suppliers who hold their weddings in areas, syempre kapag ka-outdoor in other areas, hindi siya ganun kalamig, right? So there is also again the challenge of kung gaano ba kapresko yung feeling kapag nasa labas. Even if we know that air circulates better outside and of course, it's somehow safer, feels safer, but sa mga indoor venue, doon yung mga may aircon, electric fan, etc. Or somehow they figure out trying to keep windows open siguro. Okay? So these are the things that I noticed. And of course, the usual naman yan, whether it's in church, in the reception, or even after that, we always have our alcohol hand sanitizer with us. Minsan nga, hindi ko alam kung nagiging mannerism na natin na after a few minutes, spray tayo ng spray ng alcohol. Sa ating mga kamay, nakaka-dry din siya ng kamay. However, it does make us feel more sanitized, more safe because syempre, meron tayong antibacterial properties with our alcohol. Siguro mamaya may suggestion si Doc kasi parang nakaka-dry na ng kamay, Doc eh. So what do our suppliers do to ensure the safety of the couples din naman? Okay? Number one, of course, our suppliers, talaga namang naka-maintain tayo in terms of the basics. We have a mask, we have a face shield, we have our alcohol and sanitizers when dealing with the clients. During the program, sa mga paggamit ng mic, we discourage yung sharing ng mic, right? So as much as possible, yung host, yung mic niya lang yon until the end of the program. The mic of the couple, when they answer questions from the host, when they say their thank yous at the end, isang mic lang yon. But we're not always blessed with having a lot of microphones na pwedeng gamitin ng lahat. So of course, what we do is we make sure that it's sanitized before we hand it to the next person who's going to use it, right? So as much as possible, we have enough mics to go around. And if we don't have enough mics to go around, we sanitize and before handing it to the next person. So yan. We also have areas where the venue requires you to have an antigen test or a swab test before holding your event there. Like everyone has to be, especially if the guests come from high risk areas. So in Baguio City, it's part of our protocols in entering the city to have at least an antigen test, well, a negative antigen test result. Okay? So if your question is, so ano yun, hinahandle ba ng ating couple? Sagot ba namin yun? Ayan, nafe-feel ko na isa yan sa mga katanungan natin. Yung antigen test. Definitely, if your guests come from an area that is high risk and you are entering an area with strict health protocols, and the requirement for the antigen is because of your wedding or holding your event in that particular venue, you may most likely come to an agreement with your suppliers. Usually, it's the couple shouldering that, or hati kayo. I guess it's a matter of agreeing, and it's also a matter of checking the contracts of our suppliers dun sa part na yon. Because definitely they want to cover the event, they want to serve you and be able to give the service or product that you have asked from them during the event. But hindi rin naman nila control if it is the venue asking them to have an antigen or swab test result. Right? But definitely on the part of the suppliers, naniniwala naman ako that they do their best to make sure na meron silang proper attire, proper sanitation, and that they're healthy and that no one among them has symptoms. Diba? Honestly, it's really difficult, I think, for all of us, not only for the suppliers, I think for everyone to run around and to find things, to check on areas na naka face mask, face shield, and PPE. But for the sake of safety, we have to make sure that we still comply. 'Di ba? Sa ating mga bridal kit, 'di ba meron naman 'yan, bridal kit natin, sa mga whatever items that we usually bring around, always naman na kasama na talaga dyan would be our sanitizer or alcohol to make sure that anytime na may mahawakan tayo that is we're not so sure if it's clean, then we have our alcohol and sanitizer. Diba? So with lesser guests, we have discovered the option of having virtual guests, right? Na-try ko yan. My first virtual guests last year was somewhere around September. So our couple had, of course, minimal guests inside the function hall, and then we still had Zoom covering the ceremony and the reception. So, pwede din silang, there were portions in the program where we allowed them to, well, na-flash sila sa LED wall and then they were able to still give their messages na live pa rin. Right? Na kung tutuusin, sana naisip natin yan noon, di ba? Pre-pandemic, siguro konti-konti lang sa atin yung gumagamit ng ganyang option. Ngayon, mas na-take advantage natin itong technology so that our guests who really could not make it all the way from, well, different parts of the country, or merong nagkaroon sila ng aberya with their flights, etc., kahit hindi sila naka-attend sa ating event, they can still watch it ng live. They can still give a message ng live, right? So, in a way, dun ko rin unang na-experience na, okay, so you have a group chat. Ang ginagawa ko noon was, I had a group chat with all the guests who wanted to join us online. And they sent me a list of all the names who wanted to give a message online. So, binibigyan namin sila ng heads up na, okay ma'am, since they were watching live, sinasabi namin na, okay po. So, in a few minutes po after nitong message po ng best man, please get ready with your camera because we're going to turn on Zoom sa LED wall and then you will be able to deliver your message. Yan, di ba? Kung hindi naman live, we always have the recorded option. But I think it is during this time that, in general, we were all able to take advantage of technology and at the same time unlock new skills and finding ways to adjust and bear with the current situation. But for me, I would say that it's always important for us to remember not to put our guards down while enjoying the event, right? Okay lang pong mag-enjoy because it is a happy moment. It is a happy occasion. But at the same time, we have to be mindful that times are different now and we have to remember na kapag tayo ay pinaalalahanan on safety protocols, yan, usually coordinators, they would always ask the guests, ma'am, yung mask po natin. And we remind everyone to maintain social distancing kasi syempre, ngayon na may mga wedding, minsan-minsan lang tayo makalabas and we see people for the first time ulit for some time na na-lockdown tayo. So parang ang sarap magchikahan. However, there are things that we have to take into consideration. Lagi namang ganon. And so once na nakapagkamusta na tayo ng konti, we have to really go back to our areas because that's really how we still maintain the social distancing na tinatawag natin. Right? So again, I would go back to that reminder that we have to remember the essence of the celebration. So bilang bisita at hindi na imbitang bisita pero supposedly dadalo sana tayo kung hindi lang nangyari ito. Huwag po tayong magtatampo because it's not because they don't want you there. It's because they had to do something to please still proceed with the event, but they had to really trim it down to perhaps immediate family, friends, and a few friends and relatives, right? And at the same time, on the side of the couple, who are very challenged in trimming down their guests, let us not worry and let us trust the understanding of our friends and family. That when we explain that the reason that we cannot invite them and perhaps we have a bigger celebration later when things get better, we trust in the fact that they love us enough to celebrate from afar and understand that the reason for trimming down is because of the current situation. Right? So, well, that is our run through. Nabilisan ko ba? But you can always ask me more later. But I would say that would be an overview of the safety and health protocols that we have been implementing and are still implementing during this pandemic. But sabi nga nila, love wins. And it's not exactly about the fact na na-postpone siya, na-move siya, at kailangan na siyang matapos. It's just that we made adjustments and at the end of the day, love wins and it is the celebration that really matters. And thank you so
I
much.
love it! Hashtag love wins! Comment nyo yan. Comment down below. Hashtag love wins. Hashtag love wins, guys. Napakaganda ng mga insights na shinare ni Miss Jamie. Like, we're just tweaking things, like parang adjusting certain things, no, so that we can still have a celebration while still being safe. 'Di ba? Yung hindi tayo napaparanoid, oh my gosh, ano na ba? Pero isa sa pinakamaganda na nagustuhan ko sa comment or sa sharing ni Miss Jamie is kung kayo po ay bisita at hindi po kayo supposedly bisita at hindi po kayo naimbitahan, naimbitahan doon sa yung reduced number, wag po tayong magtatampo. 'Di ba? Wag po tayong magtatampo. Don't worry, babawian daw, bibigyan daw kayo ng panibagong celebration pag natapos na yung pandemic, ganyan.
Yes.
All right. So to all of our soon to weds, so please have your questions ready. We will entertain the questions after the second speaker. Okay? Para ano tayo, para maganda yung ating interaction. I'm sure may mga questions na kayo dyan. So, take note nyo yun para hindi nyo malimutan. And yes, later in our games, meron ding giveaway si Miss Jamie, di ba? Meron kang gift item. Ano na nga yung gift item mo, Miss Jamie?
It's a free consultation. Yeah. Free consultation po. Mhm.
Yes, free consultation with a wedding expert. That's very, very helpful, guys. So, later i-raffle off natin yan. Okay, so let's now bring in our second speaker. Yan. So, the second speaker of mine. So, naisip namin na since we're talking about pandemic, how not to get COVID, di ba? We thought of having an expert. Well, she's not a wedding expert, but she's an expert as a doctor, di ba? That's her expertise. But, meron akong added trivia. So, yes, she's a doctor. She's actually a plastic surgeon. So, yung added, ko doon, trivia is that, bukod sa doktor po siya, pwede din po siya para sa ating beautification purposes. Yes. So, but of course, yung topic niya is about keeping ourselves healthy for COVID. But we'll find out more. Kaya mamaya sa Q&A portion, pwede tayo magtanong sa kanya ng mga yung mga gustong enhance ng mga bagay-bagay. All right. So we will be enlightened. There you go. That's the right word. We will be enlightened by our wonderful speaker. So I just call her Kichi actually. But of course, for the purpose of our community event tonight, let's bring on stage Dr. Kichi Guazon Ridon.
Hello! Hello, everyone! Hi! Masyado malapit. Hi! So, let me share my slides.
All right. Take it away, Doctora.
Okay. I'm not sure how many of you are brides to be or I think meron dito isang groom to be, no? So let me share to you my presentation on how not just brides, no, but how can brides and grooms rather keep themselves healthy in the new normal. Kasi pre-pandemic parang uh, ang daming mga rituals eh, 'di ba? Parang it's easy for us to take care of ourselves. Pero now that we're in the new normal, there are activities that limits us. Tapos even especially in our industry, talagang bumaba rin yung numbers din namin. But we're slowly getting back our clients din naman. Oh. So, disclaimer lang before anything else. I am not subsidized by any of the suppliers in the event and any of the brands that I get to mention during the course of the discussion. Okay. So, this will be the flow of the discussion. So, what are the likely common problems for brides to be and even grooms to be, no? Hindi ko na siya ililimit among brides. And what are the preparations that we need to do before the wedding? And I think this was already discussed by Ms. Jamie Lynn kanina, the current trends during the pandemic. I'll just give a run through of those. And this is based on um, the settings already in the US kasi most of them are already getting vaccinated, no? Marami na sa kanila, kumbaga mataas yung rollout ng vaccines, ng vaccination program nila. And what are the current guidelines in observing health protocols? So I'll give you an update just in case na you're already vaccinated with the first dose or if you're already registered and waiting to get your vaccines, no? Before your big day. Okay. So what are the common problems of brides to be and grooms to be? First and foremost, syempre ang stress, 'di ba? Nagiging bridezilla ang ating mga brides, no? Parang several months prior to the wedding, everything's going smoothly. Parang na-book mo na yung mga suppliers mo and stuff, and then as the wedding date approaches, parang problems start arising, tas nasa-stress ka na. Dahil parang bakit patong-patong yung yung mga problema, and I also have a job to do on the side. And because of that, you get lack of sleep, or you either have loss of appetite, or you do stress eating, which is a problem na most brides undergo, no? Especially when they get their gowns fitted, parang, ay, lumuwag na naman, sisikipan ulit. Or parang, hindi magkasya yung gown, oh no, what to do, 'di ba? So, another problem nowadays is yung acne or skin breakouts. This is especially common for those of us who don't wear yung cloth masks. Yung surgical mask, we wear surgical masks, or yung N95, we get what we call maskne, or yung acne that is caused by the masks that we wear. And some of us, siguro not with the other face shield designs, but yung mga face shield wherein closed yung dito sa taas, we get acne sa forehead, or especially for my colleagues and other healthcare workers, ganun yung nangyayari, no? And these breakouts are sometimes also, more often than not, stress-related then. So, my advice, when you, when, um, when you're when it's your wedding date, I'd rather that you use yung cloth masks, because there's less irritation with the skin, and you can make patong na lang the surgical mask above your cloth mask instead of the other way around, no? Uh, just so na hindi kayo magkaroon ng acne before your big day, or even during the day na pawis-pawis yung dito nyo, no? Especially ngayon na it's summer and mainit. So the humidity in that area causes your maskne. And some brides and grooms have allergy history. So nandyan yung pag nasa-stress, yan, lumalabas yung eczema, atopic dermatitis. Bale, let me tell you the difference, or rather the distinction between eczemas and atopic dermatitis. So your eczemas are any chronic skin condition. Ibig sabihin, matagal na siyang nangyayari. Kumbaga, bata ka pa, meron ka ng ganon. And then it recurs every time na nagkakaroon ng mga triggers, ganon. But your atopic dermatitis is a type of eczemas. This only suggests that you have a strong family history of allergies. So usually yan nasa may leeg, sa likod, sa popliteal area, which is yung likod ng tuhod, yun yung tawag doon, popliteal area. Tapos yung sa antecubital areas, yun yung opposite side ng elbow. So, dun usually yung sa atopic dermatitis. And this may be caused by internal and external triggers. So, more often than not, some people associate it with the food that they eat. When in truth, actually, I just found out about it kasi I had flare up parang early last year. And then I went to my allergologist. Tapos, she said that foods are the least common causes of allergic reactions. It's more, parang it's more common pa yung mga airborne na like yung dusts, pollens, yan. And even cockroaches. Yes, and animal fur or danders, yon. Also, it can also be caused by extremes of temperature, sobrang init or sobrang lamig, and even pressure pag kunwari mga tight-fitting clothes. So makikita nyo, pulang-pula yung doon sa area kung saan masikip, and then makati na siya. So, yon. So, if this happens, I'd rather that you consult to your dermatologist para they can give you your medications, or if you don't have any family history of any allergy, then please do consult an allergologist for it. Kasi mahirap na yung malapit na yung wedding tapos nagkakaroon ka na gantong problems, and then you're taking over-the-counter medications na kumbaga you're self-medicating, it might get worse, diba? Then with the onset of stress, you either have yun nga, weight loss or weight gain because you either your response to stress is either loss of appetite or you do stress eating. So, yun. And one of the common skin problems that we get are yun nga, in dry skin or oily skin. So, pag dry skin, usually, pwedeng sa ano kasi siya you don't drink water a lot, so your skin doesn't get hydrated. Actually, if you hydrate adequately, mas maganda yung skin mo. Try nyo, minom ng at least 1 liter of water a day. Maganda yung skin nyo, glowy. And oily skin. So, contrary to some beliefs, actually, the reason why there are some people with oily skins is because their skin is dry. So, yung sebum sa skin nila produces a lot of oil just so ma-retain yung moisture ng skin. So, my advice when buying cleansers, for facial cleansers, avoid yung mga mabula. So, I recommend yung soap-free cleansers kasi it retains yung moisture, yung barrier ng skin mo that will keep it hydrated. So, yun yung tipong parang Dove yung effect na parang kahit anong rinse mo, parang feeling mo may sabon pa rin. Well, that's the effect of that, no? So marami naman over the counter. There's your Cetaphil, Physiogel, etc. So yon. So avoid yung mga foaming cleansers. So what do you do before the wedding? To stay healthy and to avoid COVID or getting infected with COVID, no? So I cannot stress this enough, but you should eat healthy. I'm sometimes guilty of that, but make healthy food choices. So what the CDC or the Center for Disease Control suggests are these 3 R's. Reflect. So reflect on the things that you've eaten in the past few weeks, the past few months. If you can do a food journal, or then do so, then write it down. Kasi when you write things down, and then you see na, uy, sobrang dami ko palang junk food na kinakain. So, parang dun ka na nagkakaroon ng wake-up call. Instead of just, parang iniisip mo na lang siya na, nga, dami kong kinain na ganun. Pero you don't know the amount, di ba? So if you have that food journal, you'd be able to see parang yung reality na unhealthy yung mga kinakain mo. And then, with that, after reflecting, then that's the time you replace your food. I know it's kind of tough for some to find healthy food options, especially if you do not cook like me. No. But there are a bunch of resources online that can help you prepare like 30-minute healthy food meals or 10-minute food meals. Yun. Kasi a change in diet will significantly affect your weight as well as the condition of your skin. And reinforce, meaning put discipline into it. Set goals para by the time na wedding day mo na, bonggang-bongga ka na, di ba? Parang goddess ka na pagdating ng wedding day mo. And also, stay active. Well, this is kind of hard for those living in condominiums, but there are online yoga classes that are available. Tapos, for some of the yoga teachers that I know, then I have the class that I have attended, mura lang siya kasi it's 200 a session. And you don't have to do it every day unless you get addicted to it. And then that's good, diba? At least you have regular activity na, diba? And if you have a dog, then walk your dog. Kasi I'm pretty sure bored na bored din yung dog nyo sa bahay, diba? If you have the space, then walk your dog. And for those who are doing Zumba, meron din naman Zumba online. And alam ko, it's uso ngayon yung mga biking. So, if you're kinda new to the biking activity, then you can join groups. I think they have naman support group, or I don't know, a Facebook group. You can join them, or you can ask your friend or your family to na nagbabike para to meron kang kasama para hindi medyo jahe na parang nahirapan ka lang doon sa trail, give up ka na, di ba? So it's recommended that you get 2.5 hours per week of activity. So let's say parang you're not the type to do a 1 hour exercise, then just disperse the 2.5 hours in a week. So it's also so you can do it 30 minutes a day, diba? If you have a busy schedule. Pero if you're super busy, then get at least 10 minutes. So para may consistency, because consistency is key. Then be smoke free. Smoking really does a lot, or rather ages the skin faster than non-smokers. And actually, na-experience ko rin yun with patients who I've operated on na smokers. The healing is longer compared to non-smokers. They bruise a lot compared to non-smokers. And their skin is dry compared to non-smokers. So ito, from this infographic, just 24 hours of not smoking, your lungs will work better. Then 2 to 12 weeks, you have more energy to do the things that you dream of doing. And if in 1 to 2 months, you have less, parang yung tinatawag namin na smoker's cough, yung parang ganun ng ganun. Yung parang hindi clear yung throat kasi dry nga yung throat nila. So that's why they have that smoker's cough. And then in 9 months, you already look younger than you did when you were smoking. And in 1 year of non-smoking, you are more fertile, especially for those na parang who are trying, no? Smoking talaga has an impact on fertility. Then also manage stress. Manage stress. Nakakabulol. So you can meditate. Meditation doesn't have to be 30 minutes or like 20 minutes. It can be as fast as 5 minutes, because that meditation also helps you clear your thoughts. Ang dami-dami mong iniisip, you don't know na what to what to prioritize, no? So with meditation, you get a clearer aspect of where you are now and what you have to do. Also, the effects of meditation is that it increases your energy and provides a sense of calm, peace, and balance. And it increases blood flow to your heart and also to your brain. So when you manage stress, you are able to determine what's urgent and important, then do that first. What's important but not so urgent, that's what you schedule. And what's urgent but less important, then delegate to others. You are not alone in this wedding planning. No, you have friends, your family. You can hindi bawal humingi ng tulong. So ask help when you really need it. And what's neither urgent nor important, then don't do it at all. No? Don't feel guilty about it, because it's your day, di ba? And also, prevent injury. Choose comfortable shoes. Ang gara nga ng shoes mo, but you can't walk the aisle, di ba? And choose a comfortable dress which will allow movement, di ba? Like this one, ang haba-haba ng trail mo, natatapakan na siya ng lahat ng tao, and you can't move. So, di ba, be comfortable in your wedding dress and in your shoes because it's your big day. You shouldn't appear na you're comfortable, you're uncomfortable in the outfit that you chose, di ba? And when using candles, nako, summer pa naman ngayon, fire prevention month. Actually, tapos na yung fire prevention month, pero ang daming mga cases ngayon ng nasusunog. So, I'd suggest just use electric candles na lang, no, instead of the real candles. And if you have alcohol in your venue, then drink in moderation. Or if you plan to drink a lot, magwalwal, no, choose a designated driver. And of course, get a good sleep. It's not necessarily the 8-hour sleep because in reality, I know some of you don't get a complete 8-hour sleep, no? Actually, even for less than 8 hours of sleep, as long as it's deep sleep, that's already enough to recharge your body. And also, if you have any comorbidities, get a medical checkup prior to your big day because we don't want any untoward incidents happening in your big day. No, dapat kayo ang star. Hindi kayo yung umi-eksena, di ba? And of course, style with care. So, if you're used to a certain brand of cosmetics or cosmeceuticals, like yung mga toners, creams, whatsoever, then use those. Do not use or avoid experimenting with different brands, or do not use any new brands weeks before your big day. Actually, this happened to me. Parang my mom offered me a certain facial wash. The brand naman is really mild, no? But apparently, for my skin, hindi siya compatible. So, parang nasunog yung under yung lower lids ko. And I went to my derma. Sobrang, that's a week before the wedding, ah. Tapos sobrang, major gawa-gawa, ganyan. But unfortunately, hindi siya na-resolve completely. So, buti na lang, magaling yung makeup artist ko kasi she's trained in doing special effects makeup at mukhang di sunog yung under eyes ko. So, yon. So, if you plan to dye your hair, then let a professional stylist dye your hair. This is not the time for DIYs unless you're an expert in doing it. And refrain from trying different types of skincare products a few weeks before your wedding because such accidents like mine can happen to you. And if you do plan to do any surgical procedures or non-surgical procedures like botulinum toxins or fillers in your face or in your body, yung surgical procedures, then do it months before the wedding. Hindi 1 month before the wedding because pag 1 month before the wedding, medyo may maga pa siya, di ba? So, do it months before the wedding. Because ako rin, mas stress dun sa inyo. So, yan. So, what are the current trends during the pandemic? So, ayan nga, parang kasalang bayan, pero nakamask silang lahat. Pero walang social distancing, di ba? So, some couples have done mga creative sanitizing methods. Na-mention din ng ating first speaker kanina ito, di ba? So some opted had sanitizers or small bottled alcohols na nasa personalized bottles ganyan as wedding favors, or some parang yung COVID-19 essentials as wedding favors. So it's either sanitizer tapos yung cloth mask tapos nakaborda doon yung names ng couple, and then Venues offer also accessible sanitation stations, no? And masks are definitely required. Whether you are fully vaccinated or not, masks are still required. Um, some venues, I don't know if there are here in the Philippines, but some venues use gloves. Pero I don't recommend it kasi you think you're protected. Kasi yung kami sa hospital, when we use gloves, single use siya. Hindi mo na siya gagamitin for everything. Kasi if you touch something, then tapos you touch something else, you touch another person, parang you think you're protected. Pero when you touch your phone, ayan na. Tapos when you answer your phone, touch pa dun sa face, di ba? So, it's useless, di ba? Just a mask, that's fine. It's completely fine. And this was also mentioned, plated versus buffet. Pag plated kasi, walang pila, so walang crowding. For those opting buffet, I think there are some ginagawa nila, yung stations ng buffet, hiwa-hiwalay siya. So, merong nagsaserve so that the guest will not hold the serving spoon or the tong. And then, si server, siya yung naglalagay ng food. Pero, hiwa-hiwalay yung stations para may distance. Walang, overcrowding. No? And yeah, open air venues are definitely more popular, even for the, what you call this, the matrimony itself, no? Pag enclosed spaces kasi there's no efficient air circulation, and you have meron kasing certain pressure na kailangan i-maintain. So kailangan i-compute pa ni event coordinator yun, 'di ba? Kung na-maintain ba yung pressure sa loob ng kwarto, 'di ba? So, yon. So, at least pag open air, there's very good air circulation. And ito yung uso ngayon, mini-monies or yung mini ceremonies. Yan. So, marry now, wedding later. For some couples, I've known a few na parang nag-schedule tapos dumating yung pandemic, tapos reschedule ulit. And nandun pa rin eh, hindi pa rin nag-open eh. So, reschedule ulit. So, ginawa nila, they just opted for a civil wedding. Tapos, once everything is okay na, then that's where they do the wedding. Kasi I know some of you talaga, or most of you, you really want a lot of people to be there to witness your big event. And yun, nag-trim ng guest list, and ito, meron tinatawag na sequel weddings. So, yung sequel weddings, parang mag-wed sila kasama itong group na to. Tapos, sunod yung family naman nung, lalo pag big family yung both sides ng groom and bride, no? Pero, gagawin nyo yun pag may pera kayo. Pero, yon, for those of you na nagtitipid, mas maganda yung mini-modies. Yeah. And of course, yun nga, digitizing weddings. So, instead of the usual paper invitations, some opted for e-invitations or electronic invitations, which is kind of cool. Actually, before pre-pandemic, nakatanggap na rin ako ng e-invitations, and it's really creative kasi nandun din yung, if they want you to contribute to their wedding fund, yung honeymoon fund nila, then you can do so na dun sa invitation. And also yon, through Zoom and other online platforms, you can do live streaming of your event, and even the band. I have a friend who's a violinist, tapos yung band niya, parang online din. Parang play sila, tapos nandun yung couples, nandun yung ibang guests, nasa kanya-kanyang screen, ganyan. So what are the current guidelines in observing yung current health protocol? Okay. So what can you do if you've completed your COVID-19 vaccination? So this is kind of encouraging you that if you do get to or if you're still thinking twice of getting vaccinated for COVID-19, then please do so because I'm going to share you kung ano yung mga benefits of doing so. Yeah. Sorry, yeah. Oops. Let me, oops. Let me share another slide. Sorry. Hindi ganito kanina.
It's okay. So while we're waiting for Doctor to flash her screen, ladies, no,
Yeah.
I'm sure if you have questions, ayan, I'm sure may mga questions na kayo. Actually, hindi if. I'm sure may mga
Yes.
questions kayo. So,
So,
ready nyo na yung mga questions nyo.
ayan. So,
Sige.
this one. So, yan.
Ayan.
So, what can you do once you have been fully vaccinated? When you say fully vaccinated, not necessarily na for those na yung 2-dose vaccine, isa lang naman yung 1-dose vaccine yung Johnson and Johnson. Pero wala pa dito sa atin. So, the vaccines that we have now are you receive it in 2 doses. So, after receiving the second dose, 2 weeks after that, that's when you become fully vaccinated. And you can enjoy these privileges. Yeah. Visit inside a home or private setting without a mask with other fully vaccinated people of any age. And you can also visit inside a home or private setting without a mask with one household of unvaccinated people who are not at risk for severe illness. And you can also travel domestically without a pre or post travel test. Although that depends on where you are going and what that place requires of any visitors outside their residence. You can travel. Actually, you can travel domestically without quarantining after travel, and you can travel internationally without a pre-travel test depending on your destination. Although sa US they don't recognize Sinovac and Sinopharm if you're vaccinated with those, but other vaccines like yung kung anong meron sa atin like AstraZeneca and Pfizer, yun ang nire-recognize nila. So we can travel abroad, di ba? Bongga. And you can travel internationally without quarantining after travel. Oh, di ba? You save some time instead of quarantining, di ba? But you can't visit indoors without a mask with people at increased risk for severe illness from COVID-19. So, kung merong senior or merong someone with comorbidities sa bibisitahin nyo, you can't visit them without a mask. You have to wear a mask. And you can't attend medium or large gatherings. You have to wear a mask if you're doing so. Diba? And social distancing. So this is just a comparison of of the difference between what unvaccinated people can do and can't do and what fully vaccinated people can do and cannot do. Actually, if you look at the right column, ang daming pwedeng gawin ng mga fully vaccinated people, di ba? Ang bongga. Unlike when you're unvaccinated, you're limited only to a few activities. You can walk, run, wheelchair roll, I have it, or bike outdoors with members of your household. Outdoors naman kasi siya eh. But, syempre sa atin, we have to follow IATF, wear a mask even outdoors, diba? And attend small outdoor gatherings with fully vaccinated family and friends. Both can attend a small outdoor gathering with fully vaccinated and unvaccinated people, diba? But look, unvaccinated people have to wear masks if they are to do so. And dine at an outdoor restaurant with friends from multiple households, you can do that when you're fully vaccinated, diba? Pero when you're not vaccinated, um, you have to wear a mask. Kaya lang, it's less safe for you, diba? attend a crowded outdoor event like a live performance, parade, or sports event. O, di ba? Imagine if every one of us are fully vaccinated, we can do what kumbaga, we can do what we we were doing pre-pandemic. So, yan. So, for indoor activities, yan. So, makikita nyo, mataas ang risk for unvaccinated people for indoor activities. When for fully vaccinated people, ang bongga, di ba? Parang wall-wall na to. So, yun. So, I do recommend and encourage you to register and get your vaccines. And yun nga, parang although I'm quite hesitant with some of the brands available in our country, but when you talk about kasi hanggang kailan ka ba magiging protected with these vaccines, 'di ba? There are no available data yet, no? Kasi the vaccines that are available all over the world are still kumbaga they are under yung emergency authorization use or emergency use authorization EUA, no? So they are gathering kumbaga nasa phase 3, phase 4 clinical trial sila. And yun nga, parang actually my parents got sasabihin ko na dito, no? My parents got Sinovac, no? And I was kind of thinking twice about them getting it kasi nga, there are no studies for seniors, elderlies. But I guess, sabi ko sa kanila, parang better just to get it, especially yung dad ko kasi he goes out of the house because of his work. So, just get it na lang. Para it offers still protection. Basta importante, hindi kayo ma-ICU. Yun lang. Diba? So,
Wow,
that's
Doc, ang dami na nating mga questions. Excited na
Share ko
sila.
na.
Excited na tayo sa Q&A.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. Gina.
Gina. All right. So, guys, I know that you have a lot of questions. So, what we're gonna do so that this is an interactive Q&A portion. I'm gonna bring in Miss Jamie Lynn on stage as well with me. Hi, Miss Jamie. Ayan. And then, to our audience, there are two ways that you can, actually three ways that you can do the Q&A. One, you can raise your hand. You can click the raise hands if you're using a laptop, and then we'll bring you on stage so that you can ask your question. One. Two, you can type a question in the Q&A box. Or the last one, you can type it on the chat. Okay? Kaya lang dun sa chat kasi baka matabunan pag marami ng mga question. Kaya, alright, so let's open the floor for our Q&A. Anyone who wants to ask a question. Okay. Alin ang unahin natin? Okay, so may sagot na agad si Doktora. Okay, so yung isang question kasi dito, yung question ni Cloyd, sabi niya, is it possible to have a copy of the chart or is it available online? So, and then, Doc just sent the link. So, dalawa siya.
Hindi ko lang kung napipindot siya, but it's available on cdc.gov.
Okay, there. So we'll also make sure that we get this information. So MJ and to our tech team, please take note of the link para we can share it inside the community. Okay, so meron na tayong Q&A question. Okay, may isang question dito para kay Miss Jamie. Yeah. So I think you mentioned something about the program na short program. So ang question is how short? So if you want to shorten the program to how many hours? Yan. This question of Miss Jeans Claveria. There.
Ayan.
What's your answer to that?
Well, Ang normal, regular hours that we take for the program, including the eating time, no, is somewhere around 2 to 3 hours, right? Alam mo naman tayo dito sa Pilipinas, ang daming ganap sa program natin. So, we shorten that into 1 to 2 hours. Yun po yung usual na ginagawa natin. How do we shorten that? Well, we remove some parts, no? Number one, ang isa po na nakakahaba ng program natin is when we're waiting for the SDE. Diba? So, of course, we understand that our photographers, videographers, they need time to edit that. Kasi same day edit yan. And of course, what do we do as hosts? Magpapagames kami. We do everything to kind of stretch it hanggang sa matapos ang SDE natin. So, yeah, you might want to reconsider that. Although sayang siya, no, as a moment na part ng wedding na piniplay. So minsan, our clients forgo that and then they go for a highlight video that may be played the next day na lang. Parang gano'n. Or bawasan natin yung games, gano'n.
Nice. Okay. So from 3 hours, ganun talaga 3 hours, no? Down to 1.5 hour. Alam mo, Jamie, good thing you mentioned that, no? Yung sabi mo parang highlight video on the next day. Meron kaya akong nakitang post, diba may same day edit video. Siya nakasulat doon, next day edit video. Sabi ko ano yung next day edit video? Tapos ngayon explain mo, now it makes sense. Kasi nga, kaysa naman na ipoprolong mo pa yung stay ng mga tao at the reception, then they can just watch the next day. May additional buzz.
Yeah, may hangover.
May hangover. The next day, pinag-uusapan pa din yung wedding.
Right.
Ganyan. Okay, great question. Okay, we have a question from Jelani. Hello, okay. So MJ is going to ask the question. Ikaw magtatanong, MJ? Okay, let's bring MJ on stage. Hello, MJ. Are you there? Ay, hindi pala. Nagbago siya ng isip. Hindi na siya nag-raise ng hand. MJ, can we bring in MJ on stage na nga? MJ, by the way, is our host for the games portion. Excited na rin yata si MJ sa games eh. So, let's bring MJ, let's bring her in. But there's another question here from Miss Jeans Claveria. Is it required or recommended to swab test your guests since maybe not all will be vaccinated on the day of the wedding? If ever, is it encouraged to be shouldered by the couple? Naku, napaka-controversial lang question na to. Parang nung isang araw lang, usap-usapan to sa wedding experts group chat. Okay, pasagutin muna natin si Doktora bago tayo magbigay ng input.
I think si Miss Javelin mas makakasagot dyan. But, tawag nito, for unvaccinated guests, I do suggest na they get at least an antigen swab test. Yun. Or I don't know kung ano yung requirement ni venue and stuff.
Pero, how about yung saliva na antigen, Doc? Okay pa din yun?
Yeah, okay pa rin naman. Kasi yung antigen, walang ibang panggagalingan. Yun pinoproduce ng katawan. Galing lang yun dun sa virus. So, yun.
Okay. Yan. Hindi na si MJ. Hi, MJ.
Hi. Hindi na po kasi ako makapag-intay. Gusto ko po kasi magtanong kay Doktor. Kaya nag-raise hand ako. May question po kasi talaga ako.
May question. Wait lang. Bago yung question mo, MJ. So, by the way, sa mga nanonood po sa atin ng via Facebook Live or YouTube Live, pwede pa rin kayong mag-participate by asking your questions on the chat box, and then our team will just communicate it to us. So, baka delayed lang yung response namin, but possible pa din namin masagot. The only thing na hindi nyo magagawa kung nanonood lang kayo sa Facebook Live is manalo ng premyo. Okay, so wait, sagutin muna natin, Miss Jamie. Anong sagot natin patungkol sa question na?
Kaya next time, join kayo.
Okay. Ano yung sagot natin dito sa question na to, Miss Jamie? Yung tungkol sa required, yun, recommended, and sinong dapat mag-shoulder?
So far, based sa aking experience, ang sabi kasi sa amin, if parang, di ba hindi naman siya dapat random na gusto mo lang magpa-swab. Parang ganon. So parang ang aking understanding is if you don't have the symptoms, parang hindi siya exactly required. Parang ganon. Kasi nga, yun, parang we're just thinking that way. Although I have heard that the new strains, meron yung mga wala kang mararamdamang symptoms. 'Di ba? So yun dun tayo nagkakaroon ng question mark tuloy in terms of having the antigen or swab test. Now, ako ang stand ko na lang to Yun po kasi, on the side of the suppliers, they were, hindi naman po kasama sa kanilang fee or sa kanilang package yung cost of going kung na-require sila to go for an antigen or swab test. So I would say my answer to that would be if the suppliers would be required, then that would have to be on the side of the client po, right? Now, sa guests naman po, in terms of the guests, I believe yung pagpunta nyo doon is out of your own free will as well. Right? Katulad ng pagbayad ng inyong transportation, pagpapamakeup, at ang inyong pagdadamit sa inyong sarili na hindi naman natin pinapa-shoulder sa ating bride and groom. Yon. So parang for me, if you're a guest and you accepted the invitation and it just so happened that you are required to take that test for your safety din naman, go ahead and do it. But we don't, parang I believe, gift mo na lang din yon. Like your presence, it's also your gift to the couple to go there with the test. Yun.
Yes. Ganda ng sagot. Very well said. Parang beauty queen lang. Yes. So, ako din, my stand there is if it's a supplier, the cost of the testing will have to be under the couple. So, kumbaga, ipapasok nyo na yung sa budget planning nyo. Meron ng allotted na budget for that. But for the guests, then if you want to have that peace of mind that everyone went through the testing, you want to require everyone, then sabihin nyo na dun sa mga guests nyo na as a guest, we will be requiring you to take the test, ganon. So, na on your own cost. So kung sasabihin lang, ayoko nang gumastos pa para sa ganon. So, pwede naman po sa Zoom meet, sa Zoom wedding na lang po kayo mag-attend. Ganon. O, diba? Tapos, nagkaroon ka pa ng way para bawasan yung
Actually, tama din sinabi ni Ma'am JB Lindy. Kasi, kung let's say tayo, nandito tayo sa Manila, hindi naman required unless you feel anything, if you have symptoms But if you're doing destination wedding, yon magko-comply ka talaga dun sa requirements nung pupunta yung venue
destination.
yes.
Yes, definitely. Correct. Yan. O kaya nga po, napakaganda ng ating Worldwide Weddings Expo Philippines because there are wedding experts in each location. So, yung location na gusto nyong puntahan, kung lalo na kung destination wedding yung balak nyo, you will get answers from the people who are in that place already. O, for example, Baguio. Matatanong mo si Miss Jamie, by the time na ikakasal ka na, ano na nga ba ang dapat, di ba? So, she can give you real-time answers on what is being implemented in that area. Kasi, iba-iba kasi. Yes, di ba? Okay. Na-excite tuloy ako. Gusto ko nang i-announce. We will have Siargao as a wedding expert. I just got a wedding expert from Siargao. So, baka may mga nag-iisip ng dyan, destination wedding. Okay. So, I jumped the gun. Okay, MJ, go ahead. May question ka. May delay lang si MJ.
Okay, Miss Jenny, before I ask my question, I found a question here from our bride. From our bride, Jelani. So, Miss Jelani is asking Doktora, considered pa rin po ba yung stretching as an exercise?
Yes. Basta gumalaw, galaw-galaw, baka ma-stroke. Yes, especially if you're doing intermittent fasting. Syempre you don't have the enough energy to do vigorous exercise, then stretching alone in itself will suffice during your fasting period. So,
yes. Dami nating mga questions. MG, mamaya na yung tanong mo. Doon ka na daw, sa round table discussion ka na daw. Ayan. Ano ba yun? Naglag si MJ? Oh, sige. Akin na. I'm gonna read the next question. From Miss Monique Villajuan. Okay. Hi. Medyo torn regarding sa reception venue. Which is better po? Open space or air-conditioned
Yung
room?
unahin
Kaya
natin.
lang, both of us,
We have another question po.
MJ, wait, delete ka. Pagpasensyahan nyo na po, best in internet po si MJ. Oo, best in internet po siya. Paminsan-minsan lang po siya pinagbibigyan ng PLDT at ng Globe. Shout out baka naman, PLDT at Globe. Okay. Continue ko yung question ko. So, kaya lang both of us are really pawisin. Like literally. And afraid to have asthma attack. Or mag-palpitate kapag super init. Oo nga naman. So, paano na yun? Open space or air condition? What would you guys suggest? So, parang mix of Miss Jamie and Dr.
True.
Health concern and venue concern.
Sino ba sa amin ni Doc mauna?
Sige. Miss Jamie, ikaw muna.
Okay. Naintindihan naman namin yung concern yun, no? But I think, no, yun nga, if you have health conditions, parang on normal conditions, di ba, mas advisable ang outdoor because of the circulation of the air. However, if you have a health condition, asthmatic, or, instances where yung outdoor situation is not ideal for you, for me, I would go for the air-conditioned area and just be more strict with, with sticking to wearing the mask, yung ganon. And yun pa rin, yung i-shorten natin yung program para less yung babad nating lahat inside the venue. That would be my recommendation. Kung hindi naman, come to Baguio City para malamig ang air. Sila naman ang
Yes. Ganda ng tip. Okay, Doctora, about you?
Ako naman, why would you sacrifice your health condition over compliance with yung yung mga recommendations for a safer wedding, 'di ba? Summer na summer ngayon, 'di ba? We're in hell. Sabi ka ng iba. So, I guess you can opt for an enclosed space, aircon. Kaya lang you'll have to wear masks most of the time. Instead na yung pag-open air na may parts na pwedeng hindi nakamask, especially for the vaccinated people, di ba? So, yun lang.
Okay, so ano po tayo? Yung talagang pawisin, let's go for aircon. Okay.
Yeah. Meron kaming, para sa mga pawisin, Botox.
Pwede pala yun. So, pag nagbo-botox, nababawas yung pawis.
Yes.
I didn't know. Di ko alam yun. Alam nyo ba yun? May natutunan tayong bago.
Oo.
Pero wala bang side effects yung Botox, Doktora? Bigla nagtanong eh.
Botox, yung Botox, effects of Botox will last 3 months. If you're a first-timer, baka umabot pa ng 4 months. Ganun.
Oh.
Pabotox po nung kamay ko.
Pasmado.
Super, Doktora.
Okay, next question. Sabi ni Miss Jelani, okay. In connection din po regarding sa open air venue, what could we do to minimize yung pawis? Since yung venue is nasa Manila. Ayan na nga, yun na yung sagot, Botox.
Or parang you can opt for yung mga, yung wedding favors yun na electric fan, yung maliit, di ba?
True.
Tapos meron din yung fan na may mist. Okay ba yun?
Yes.
Diba? Tapos outdoor naman sila. Yeah, okay, ganda. Very good. Okay, so MJ, wala na ako sa Q&A section. O, ikaw na.
Ayun nga, Miss Janae, kasi nag-guilty ako kanina when Doktora said na nakaka-affect pala dun sa skin natin yung stress and all. So, delay pa rin ba ako? So, ang question ko, Doktora, is, aside from drinking water, kasi medyo mahina pa ako sa water ano po yung recommendation nyo na sa skin? Kasi baka, hindi po ako maano sa skin ko hindi po ako masyadong maalaga. So, meron po ba kayo masasuggest? Because I haven't tried facial in my whole life. So,
Ako, now's the time. Saka para mawala yung stress mo, palitan mo yung internet service provider mo.
Yes. Correct.
Then, tsaka yun nga, parang, you have to, parang, hindi naman kailangan strictly na naka 2 liters ka in a day, no? Just drink lots of water, especially ngayon. You have to hydrate. Ngayon na summer, you have to hydrate kasi baka magka-heat stroke ka, di ba? Yung heat index ngayon parang nasa 41, 42. If you're in Central Luzon, di ba, maabot ng 52 degrees Celsius, di ba? So, the only way for you to have, to protect your skin is to hydrate. As if you're doing outdoor wedding, sunscreen. Girls and boys, do not forget sunscreen. Do not underestimate the power of sunscreen. Kasi, yung sun, exposure sa sun, ages the skin a lot. So, sa ngayon, di mo pa nakikita yung epekto kasi nangyayari siya at a molecular level. But, yun nga, parang choose a good sunscreen if you're doing outdoor weddings. My tip for that is yung SPF, at least 35. So, 35 and up. The SPF kasi, it indicates yung blockage niya of UVB rays. Pero, yung UVA, kahit gaano kataas yung UVB, ay yung sa SPF mo, kung wala siyang UVA protection, pangit yung sunscreen mo. Malalaman mo kung maganda yung UVA protection niya. Meron doon, nakikalagay doon sa label niya. PA++, PA+++, ganun. It indicates the duration of your UVA protection. So, mas maraming plus, mas maganda. Yun. And, para di sa nagpapafacial, now's the
ang dami
time.
ko ng guilt.
Ayan. May tanong na nga dito, ano yung recommended na brand, Doktora, from Miss Teresa Angostura, one of our brides. Yes, so
Sa
magne-name drop na si
sunscreen.
Doktora ng brand.
Naku,
Oo.
baka kailangan sponsored
Ay,
yan.
hindi po ito sponsored.
hindi nga ako
Sa ano na lang,
sponsored.
daw, sa roundtable discussion. Sa
There-
lounge.
Oo. There are a lot of nice brands naman eh. Parang you just have to look at the label. Tapos, syempre, if you can, test doon sa skin kung kaya matest. Then test it. Kasi may ibang sunscreen kasi na greasy yung feeling. Maganda syempre yung matte yung feeling. The problem with gel, yung mga gel type, you have to reapply it more often during the day. Kasi papawisan ka. Madalag siya matanggal. So, yun.
Yan. Okay, so ang dami nating questions. May time pa ba tayo? Okay, because ladies and gentlemen, meron tayong there are 2 more parts. Games. Okay, game pala. Isang game. And the roundtable discussion. Kasi we will give you an opportunity to interact with our speakers in a more private setting.